Hello YouTube, Dave here again. So today is Saturday, June 16th, 2018, and it was free RPG day. So different game stores had like free things that they were passing out and running games and events, stuff like that. I went to attend the one at Monster Comics and Lounge, I think it's called, in Halifax. And I think it was the only one in my local area that was really doing anything. So unfortunately some of the other stores just weren't able to get the stuff for it in time. But I also thought that since I'm doing a quick video here, I'll just show off a couple of the other things that I've picked up over the last little while. Because there's a few things that I've added that I haven't really shown in video, as well as what I got for the free RPG day. So first off, let's just move these out of the way. So I actually was invited by one of my players who's in my regular monthly game, which is actually taking place tomorrow at Giant Robot Comics on Sunday the 17th, to actually just stick around and play in one of the D&D games that was being run. So I haven't actually played as a player character in at least like 6 years. I think it's closer to 7 at this point. And the last thing I played was a first edition AD&D game that was lasted I think about 3 or 4 weeks, and then that was the end of the adventure. So I actually got to make a character, and we played through, it was one of the Storm King's Thunder Adventurers League scenarios, and the name of it was Giant Diplomacy. And it was a fun little scenario, I have to say. The Dungeon Master who ran it, I thought, did a pretty decent job, considering that he wasn't expecting to be running anything, I think, at that point. And, had to basically run on the spot. So it was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. It was nice. It was a nice change of pace, but I realized that my knowledge of player character abilities is still very firmly rooted in like 3rd edition and some of the older styles. So there have definitely been some changes to some of the spells that I honestly just kind of, it almost catches me by surprise how much some of these things have changed. So anyway, not that I'm not familiar with 5th edition rules and stuff, but when it comes to player character abilities, there's a lot of like spells or abilities that I just don't use as a dungeon master, that I'm familiar with older versions of it. But anyway, because I wasn't really planning on doing any of that, I didn't have any of my stuff with me. I didn't have a player's handbook. I didn't have any dice. So the first thing I'll just show off here, I did pick up a pretty cheap set of dice, and just opaque assorted dice. And they were running a sale on their RPG related stuff, where it was free RPG day. So it cost less than the $7.95 price tag that's on it, but $7.95 for a set of 10 dice is, in my opinion, still a pretty good price to begin with. So I just picked up some assorted dice, and I didn't roll horrible with them. I think actually most of my rolls were pretty decent, surprisingly, but picked up another set of dice. I don't know if I'm actually going to keep these or if I'm going to give them to my nephew. I haven't fully decided on that yet, but I'll see how I kind of feel about it. But just picked up another set of dice, and along with that I made my character. So the character that I made was based off of some miniatures that I picked up at that store on that day. So I've got some other minis here that I'll show off for like as a pickup thing. But these are the ones that I actually picked up at that store today as well, because my funds are getting pretty limited, but I wanted to have a mini. So this is the Elf Paladin. And that's what I made. I made the shield and sword paladin. So I thought I would just quickly show the character sheet that I have here as well. And yes, I know it was very tempting to make my elf ranger, but they didn't have any ranger minis there, and I just decided to. And I knew that the other player was also playing a ranger, so I didn't want to like overdo it with the range attack, stuff like that. So I figured that we needed sort of a melee kind of character. So I made an elf paladin by the name of Varus. So he gains 2nd level at the end of the adventure. He doesn't have 2nd level stats. So if you see the paladin 2 and wondering why he only has 11 hit points, it's because I haven't actually leveled him yet. But I made a paladin. I took the acolyte background and I made him an acolyte of the God Helm, lawful good alignment, and the faction that I had him join was the Order of the Gauntlet. So the stats here, I didn't want to, like, again, overly do things. I wanted to make sure that I didn't have any penalties. if I could necessarily avoid them and where it would sort of make sense for the stats to kind of fall for my paladin character. I chose High Elf, and so I gave my character a strength of 15, so the 15 that I had, I used the standard array. The 15 went into strength. Dexterity is actually where I put my 8, but elves get a +2 to dexterity, so that increased up to 10, so there was no penalty. But if there were, it would have been fine because I was wearing heavy armor. Constitution I gave 13. I initially had 12 in there, but I changed that to the 13. So I had +1 there. Intelligence was 10, but as a high elf it increased up to by +1. And Wisdom 12, which is I think the spellcasting stat that I'll use for my paladin spells. And Charisma of 14, because Charisma again is very important to paladins. With the Acolyte background and with the High Elf, I was given some extra languages. So for my languages I had Common, Elven, and then I chose Draconic, Dwarven, and Goblinoid for the extra languages that I had for my race and background. So I had an armor class of 18, I had Chainmail and a Shield. Chainmail is an armor class of 16, so I got up to 18 there. Hit points, 11 were my maximum hit points, because it is first level character. I have a d10 and 1 hit dice. I did get knocked unconscious in one of the battles, so I did end up having like a success and a failure before one of the other characters was able to stabilize me. And I took with the High Elf, they get a cantrip that they can choose. And I decided that, I kind of wanted to have a cantrip because I didn't want to worry about things like ammunition for ranged weapons or anything like that. So I took Firebolt. I was actually going to take True Strike, but I didn't have my player's handbook with me. And as it turns out, the way that I remember True Strike being versus how it actually is really weirdly different. So I don't know if I actually like the 5th edition True Strike as much, but anyway. It is a cantrip, so I guess, that is totally fine, but it just didn't work the way that I remembered it, so I'm kind of glad I took Fireball, because I did actually get to use it, and I did actually do a little bit of damage with it. Other than that, I get, Lay on Hands for 5 hit points per day, and the oath that I want to take is, I think it's Oath of Devotion, but I want to make basically a, what I consider to be sort of an old-school paladin, is the kind of character that I want to make. So he's lawful good. He's devoted to, a faith or religion, and his abilities will be derived from that. I also kind of want to make it so that, I actually plan on tithing with this character if I do get a chance to play him again. I don't know if I'm going to or not, but if I do get a chance, then I'd probably have him tithe. I'd limit the magic items that he has to, a weapon, a shield, a suit of armor, and then, maybe 3 other items at most. Because, I don't mind the sort of the old school style of paladin, and that was pretty much it. That's just the log sheet, which I didn't really fill out all the information for, but that was the character that I played, which was pretty cool. So as far as, I'll save the actual free RPG day pickup that I got for later. So I was hoping that there was going to be something offered for the Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game. And as it turns out, they had a folder that they were going to put in, but it was 1 folder per box of all the free RPG stuff that was being sent out, so that just wasn't in the cards for me, unfortunately. But as far as pickups go, I did get my normal, regular store copy of Mordecai's Thoma Foes. So this is the regular standard cover. And this is the one that I will be using when I'm actually looking to reference stuff. I do like the Game Store exclusive version that I did pick up. The only issue is, again, with sort of that rubberized coating that's on the front there. It really picks up fingerprints. And so this will be the one that I use in general from here on. But again, I just thought I would show you the book itself. And this actually has the marketing stuff on the back. So it actually, reads, pages from the greatest of mages. Why do dwarves and Durgar hate each other? How did the world come to have so many kinds of elves? What lies at the heart of the Blood War? The great cosmic struggle between demons and devils that threatens to destroy everything if either side were ever to emerge victorious. Mordenkainen has all those answers and more, and now they can be yours. This tome is built on the writings of the renowned wizard from the world of Greyhawk, gathered over a lifetime of research and scholarship in his travels to other worlds and other planes of existence. He has made many friends and risked his life an equal number of times to amass the knowledge contained herein. The first 5 chapters present material for the Dungeon Master to add depth to a campaign that involves the characters in one or more of the ongoing conflicts described here. Options for players are provided as well, including new character races. In addition to Mordecai's musings on the endless wars of the multiverse, the book contains game statistics for dozens of monsters, new demons and devils, several varieties of elves and Durgar, and a vast array of other creatures from throughout the planes of existence. And it feels like actually the back of this, so they have like the picture side here, but the matte part that was always a different just texture to it, this is more of a glossy. This actually feels different, and I don't know how well it's going to show up. It is picking up a little bit of fingerprint stuff too, but that's okay. But it actually feels like it has a completely different texture from the other books before, which is kind of interesting. But there it is, just Mordecai's Thoma Foes. The inside is the exact same, so there's no difference between the actual contents of the pages, which is good. Because I don't like the idea of having exclusive material for the game store versions, only because not every place has, you know, game stores where they can pick this stuff up for. But anyway, pick that up. A couple of other miniatures I thought I would show off. On my last, I've actually had this for a while, but on the last day that I was running the D&D game for the Autism Nova Scotia, at least until the fall, hopefully I can start back up there again, but I actually picked up the Human Barbarian miniature. Because I actually like the Human Barbarian. I don't really have any Human Barbarian minis aside from my Frenzied Berserker, which is the female one. So I really like these minis, and this guy here is the same one that's actually in the pre-painted starter set for the Icons of the Realms. So again, I just thought that was pretty cool. Haven't opened it yet. I really need to get back into painting, because I do have some cheap paints. I can't really afford the fancier, you know, ones that most people use for minis. I just buy some of like the cheap dollar store paints, and it works. So, you know, they're not going to be the prettiest things, but I enjoy painting it, and you know, they don't look necessarily horrible. So anyway, but yeah, so I picked that up, and from Giant Robot. No, sorry, it wasn't from Giant Robot. There's a Giant Robot is where I run my D&D Adventures League from, but there is a new game store that opened up here in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, called HFX Games, and so I was in there, and they got a pretty cool selection of D&D stuff, and they also had the Displacer Beast, and I love the Displacer Beast as a monster, and the only Displacer Beast mini I have was from Chainmail. So I figured, you know, it's first time visiting a new store. I don't like visiting a new store for the first time and not buying something. So I actually picked up the Displacer Beast miniature. And so it's, again, really cool looking. Looking forward to painting it as well. But I picked that up. And I guess that just leaves the adventure that I got. So like I said, I wasn't able to get anything Dungeons & Dragons related as far as the free RPG thing goes, but I was able to pick something up for the other role-playing game that I'm currently buying stuff for. So I was able to pick up the Starfinder Skinner Shot adventure. And I'm actually, as soon as I'm done recording this video, I'm actually going to submit to HalCon to see if I can run this there. I already submitted a couple of D&D games that I would like to run, but I also want to submit and see if I can run the free RPG just Skitter Shot Starfinder adventure. So you actually play a Skittermander in this book, this adventure, and haven't had a chance to actually read it yet. So I do plan on doing a review of it. But I just thought I'd show it off here, and you actually get to play. You play as one of the 4 Skittermanders on the cover, and they give their stats. If I can get to it here. So they actually have their stats here as well, which is pretty cool. You get a little bit of information for the Skittermanders, including some slang language that they would use, which is pretty cool. And so you get your characters there. So you have like Dekoyo, who is a Skittermander priest mystic. You have the Skittermander Xenoseeker Envoy. And then you've got the Spacefarer Soldier, and this Scholar Mechanic. So you actually have a pretty good selection of different Skittermanders that you can play, which is, again, just really, really cool. And so this was the free RPG Day product that I picked up. Like I said, I will actually be doing a review of the adventure once I finally get a chance to read it. But on the back it just says, all hands on deck. Don't worry, the Skittermanders are here to help. When a routine salvage operation deep in the vast goes awry, the Skittermanders Dekoyo, Gizagaz, Nako, and Quantz must board a luxurious cruise liner controlled by a rogue artificial intelligence to save their Vesk boss and a group of hapless passengers. All manner of obstacles block their path to success, from malfunctioning massage tables to cybernetic undead to vermin from another plane. But if the Skittermanders can work together, something Skittermanders do best, they are sure to be hailed as tiny furry heroes. That is, of course, if the passing pirate spaceship doesn't blast them all out of space first. In addition to this exciting adventure, this book includes 4 pre-generated characters that are ready to play with full stat blocks and backstories. The inside back cover also holds a wealth of information that will help you roleplay your 6-armed creatures, such as their species' thoughts on food, religion, and how to relate to other cultures, as well as examples of Skittermander slang, which I pointed out. Skittershot is an adventure for 4 Skittermander characters who are eager to help those in need and explore a seemingly abandoned starship, written for the wildly popular Starfinder role-playing game. And I think they're all 2nd level, if I recall. The Skittermander 2... Yeah, they're all 2nd level characters, which is pretty cool. But here you got the facts about Skittermanders. I'm not going to read that off here, but so that's what I picked up anyway for free RPG Day. So I did get, this was the thing that I wanted to get the most, so I'm glad that I picked that up. And like I said, I'm going to see if I can actually run this at HalCon this fall. So if any of you have attended free RPG Day, let me know what your experiences were. Did you get to play any RPGs? At Monster Comics, they were running like the Starfleet Adventures, I think it was. There was a Call of Cthulhu table. There were a couple of different D&D groups that were there. One was running the starter set adventure. Another was running just a casual game, and then I was in the giant diplomacy group. So had a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. And if you guys were part of it as well, let me know what your experiences were and what you ended up picking up. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time. Take care.